Hey guys, Martinget here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we're going to be taking a look at the AGL Pan again, the 50% support. She's one of the ones that's high up on the list in terms of which ones I think are actually the better ones and the ones that are worth having. And of course that is due to her super attack effect, right? The only thing that's different between these units that sets them apart, aside from the character choice, obviously, because that affects links and categories and things like that, right? But being a hybrid Saiyan, being a Goku family unit, she's on a lot of decent teams and has a fairly decent link set, right? She has all in the family, which is really good for extra defense. Full level 10 links, of course. Mine is 79%, 2 dupes. We've got her at 22 additional and then 14 dodge. The ones that have the really good super attack effects, I lean more in towards the additional, right? Because if they get a double super, we can take advantage of that effect twice. And hers is supreme damage to the enemy, raise allies attack and defense by 30% for 2 turns. So this is one of the reasons why she can be so good. So allies attack and defense, it does include her as well. So she essentially does have raise attack and defense on super, but she's raising it for the allies for 2 turns. So what that means, of course, is she is the super AGL 60% support unit. But as you can see on the starting rotation, we're trying her out on the LR full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku GT Heroes team. And we have the 3 AGL allies so that she can get her guard for the couple of turns at the start. But we're running full power Goku, of course, as the leader, and we have the GT duo. And this first rotation is a great example of this here, right? So if we go ahead and put her in slot 1, she's not providing any support to these 2 units with her passive. But when she super attacks first, she's then giving both of these guys 30% extra attack and defense, and giving it to the entirety of the next rotation as well. So she supports Super AGL actually on the rotation, but then she supports everyone on the team as well after having supered. Now, of course, in the late game, especially once guard has run out, you're not going to be putting her in slot 1. But for this first turn, this is a really good way to play out this rotation, because we're going to get this buff for these guys, right? And this is a Rainbow Friend Goku linked up with the LR GT duo. So very interested to see how much damage he's actually going to do here. Of course, sell supers immediately, but we get the dodge. Look at that. 2 dodges in a row at 14% chance to dodge. You love to see that. So Pan gets off her attack here, and then an additional normal. And then, yeah, Goku 7.7. Bear in mind, LR Goku without being hit first, right, to get any of his buffs. So not bad. And then, of course, we have the GT duo that are going to start getting off all their attacks, so they're starting at 9 mil, and then that buff carries over to the next turn as well. And of course, it's not just attack, it's also defense. So when we get the next rotation up here, all of the units on the rotation have an extra 30% defense already on their stats, right, carrying over from the previous turn from Pan. So if you are floating her as a 3rd slot support, obviously there's going to be that 1 turn that's not covered, right, because she's in slot 3, she does her super, nobody else obviously on the rotation then gets to attack or be attacked, and then it's the next turn only that you're getting the buff. But even on a team like this, right, if you're having Goku LR like full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku on both rotations, you're still going to be able to get those buffs for them. This isn't the best setup here, but I mean, it's in a way it's good that we didn't have the that we didn't kill him here, so we can just kind of end off the phase. We'll let you get a couple of hits in here. Now, on this team in particular, GT Heroes doesn't exactly have the craziest selection of AGL units, but I brought some of these guys. Obviously, Kai Goku fits under the full power part of the Super Saiyan 4 Goku's leader skill. The GT, like Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr., are certainly not crazy units anymore in terms for actual difficult content, but they do link well with Pan. So I wanted to bring them along just to kind of see a rotation with her with a few more links active. And of course, same kind of thing with the Trunks and Goten, where they're not particularly crazy anymore, but obviously the benefit for them giving the support here for Pan and a couple of extra links as well is quite nice. So not a lot of AGL orbs on this rotation, unfortunately. So let's go ahead and do this. And then, there you go, we can get 6 orbs, only 4 AGL. So it's a pretty bad turn for her, really. and still at 414k with the guard. She's going to super, which will raise by the 30%. So she's going to be over 500k defense with guard. So in some of these, I mean, in every event on global, that puts her at the level where she's tanking all normal attacks, right, for double-digit damage. Now, one of the things that we have talked about a bit with these units, and we kind of talked about very briefly on the podcast last night, is the fact that some of these units are not going to potentially age as well for the anniversary content, because, you know, 500k defense even with guard, some of the hardest bosses from the anniversary are actually hitting, you know, a lot harder than that with their normal attacks. One of the examples is the STR Blue Gogeta, although he can be attack lowered, but he starts out hitting well over like 1.5 million with the normals after he's super attacked, which yeah, could be a lot of damage. So when it comes to these 50% support units, it's why the ones that raise defense on super are obviously going to last way longer in terms of relevancy than all the ones who don't, because the events are just getting harder, and once that guard runs out, that's when things will start to get a little bit more dangerous for these guys, right? Because the ones like Kaba and Gohan that we've showed off already, who can get those stacks in, especially if you're getting additionals, build up a ton of defense, and then, you know, on turn 9 they've already starting out with, you know, really high defense. Then depending on the orb change you get, you can be looking at some ridiculously high numbers, right? Like we've seen those guys get up to sort of like 2.5 million, which, you know, even without guard, they're just tanking all normals and most supers in the game at that point, right? So that is pretty good. But Pan, no permanent buff or anything like that, so you obviously, she's not going to be great in events with AoEs because there is no sort of permanent stacking or any carryover from previous turns. Like, you know, she doesn't have like raised defense for 4 turns or something like that, right? So every time she's back on the rotation, she's essentially at fresh again. So the number of orbs that you pick up really is going to make a big difference for her, more so than the others, because she doesn't have any of that base to like build up. But then once she gets her super attack off, she's obviously buffing herself and then the next rotation. And one of the reasons why additional will be so good for her is if she does get an additional super, then that extra 30% buff to allies for 2 turns actually triggers again. So then it's a 60% buff, which is pretty crazy. So we can already get the full power thing for you here. So we've got no guard on this turn. So what I want to do is try and get as many of these AGL orbs here as we can. So let's go ahead and just throw this up for you. I was about to say, I just realised that could have potentially changed all of the AGL orbs, which would have been a bit of a nightmare. But so we'll grab these, and then we can get 6 here, which puts you to, yeah, 483, and then decent links active here. What's your guy's defense? 289. I mean, obviously they are getting the benefit of the 60% support from Pan as well, to be fair. So Oob should tank this pretty nicely here. We didn't get a ton of the type orbs for his damage reduction, but we got enough orbs for him to be untouchable, at least against this cell in particular. So yeah, 4.6. I mean, Pan's never going to hit like crazy hard, right? But as we said at the very beginning when talking about the hidden potential, that's not why they're on the team, right? So I was really hoping that slight delay that it seemed there was her getting an additional super, because that's the only downside, and we talked about it with the stacking guys as well, Kaba and Gohan. It is always a bit disappointing when you build units like full additional, and then so far we haven't actually gotten an additional super with Pan, because I really want to see that buff in play, right, for her. So, but bear in mind, like, the buff is carrying over to the next turn, as we said, right, from her passive. So, I mean, Goku's at 818k defense start of turn, and then the Kai Goku's at 700k defense start of turn. And this is all because of the buffs from Pan. Or I say all because of, but a large chunk of that comes from the buff from the previous turn from Pan, which obviously is very, very good. So grab all of these. I was trying to leave a bunch of orbs. If we change the STR orbs to AGL, that would actually be perfect, but we probably will do a pretty solid amount of damage on this turn, so I don't know whether Cell actually has the possibility of surviving here, but we shall see. And then, of course, you got to remember, as with all of these guys, right, there's the orb change ability in her back pocket as well, if we're below 50% HP, which 50% is not a difficult HP condition when you're doing any of the relatively hard events, right? Like, if you get hit by a super, even units in the hardest events that can survive supers are still taking a decent chunk of damage. And then that rainbow, the orb change, changing the entire field to the typing orbs, is not only giving them the huge buff, but of course basically gives you a full heal as well. So that does work out really nicely. We didn't do anywhere near as much damage as I thought we would this turn, so clearly we're going to be all good here. Alright, change the STR orbs, Pan. Come on, you got this. Actually, she did not do that. Alright, well, let's see. Well, he's healing in slot 1. So what I could do... So here we go. Here's a good example of the damage here, right? Because Goku's not getting hit in slot 1, unfortunately, to get that extra bit of a buff. Because there's no attacks in slot 1. So we can't... There's nothing we can really do about that. But we can put Pan in slot 1 here. Grab 10 orbs, 9 of which are AGL. So remember, her start of turn defense is not the best, right? No stacks or anything like that. But we get the orbs, and now she has 575k. Nothing insane. I mean, this is the kind of turn where Kaba or Gohan, with that many orbs picked up, would be like, you know, getting close to potentially 2 million defense. But 575 is more than enough to tank all the normals in the game. And for this cell specifically, we're not going to be getting killed by a super here. And then we go ahead and do this, because of course remember her super attack as well is going to be 30%, which is what, like another 150-ish. So she's going to be over 700k defense after she supers here. But then more importantly, the buff to everybody else on the rotation. So if this could be the turn where she double supers, that would be fantastic, because I really want to see LR full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku. The only downside being, of course, like we said, he hasn't been hit first, so he doesn't have that extra attack buff. But there you go, just 19 million, right? Without getting that, he gets hit first attack buff, right? So 19 million attack stat from the buff from Pan. Of course, he gets guaranteed crits. And then there's the additional... you very rarely see his 12 key super. I really like his 12 key super animation. And yeah, that was a 13 mil, which of course is a guaranteed crit for him on the first turn as well. So very, very good. And then, of course, the buff carries over to this turn from Pan. So you're at 775 now. You're at 259. Yeah, yours is reset, which is annoying. But so we'll do this. Do this. I mean, probably kill him here, I want to say. Yeah, I was going to say, if we get the Dokkan attack, we definitely will. But yeah, this guy supering in slot 1, of course, without fail. Every time. Still took 474. But of course, Kai Goku has the end of turn heal as well, and we're getting the Dokkan attack, so we'll be going into the next turn with 4 HP. Would have been good to avoid the Dokkan attack, but I think even with without getting the heal from the Dokkan attack, Kai Goku's healing ability would have put us above 50% anyway, so we won't get Pan's orb change here. But yeah, I mean, you can see from the numbers that she does herself, right? She's not in the upper part of the list solely like because of her performance. It's the that extra bit of support that she's giving, right? The 2-turn support, which covers all allies, including not just AGL, is one of the things that adds like a large amount of value to her. But of course, she doesn't quite come close. Like Kaba and Gohan are just in a tier like all of their own, right? Just because of the sheer numbers that they're actually able to get up to. But Pan certainly is interesting. I can see arguments, especially after this run, of course, where we didn't get any additional supers. I can definitely see the vision if you just want to give her full dodge. Because as we've already said, in these later phases, now that she doesn't have the ability to have guard, her defense is obviously not getting anywhere near as high as we would like it to be. So we also aren't going to get the opportunity to attack here, which is unfortunate. I mean, I could float off Goku, I guess, but because he will just kill Cell here, whereas if I put these guys in slot 1, they're definitely not going to kill. Well, I say definitely not, but they're probably not going to kill. So we'll do that. And then, yeah, see, 4 orbs and only 3 of them AGL. 328. This is the kind of turn where now, if we were on, like, this is turn 9. This is the turn where, as we've already said, right, Kaba and Gohan have, like, 2 million defense. So this is the kind of turn where, when we're talking about the anniversary content, now Pan is in a situation where post-super attacking here, there are some bosses where she won't even tank normals for double digits. Like it's not like she's going to get one shot, although some of the harder bosses will be hitting that a little bit harder. Finally, we get the double super. Okay, Goku should actually hit really hard on this turn now. Yeah, 16.4, and that's with them. I think they have, what, like 2 links? So, yeah, the next turn's going to look pretty interesting with these guys now. Everyone on the next rotation has a 60% attack and defense buff. So, what are we looking at here, numbers-wise? You have almost 1 million defense. I want Goku to get hit first, though. I want to get the a buff for him, because I don't know if his buff has been reactivated or not. But with that 60% support, like, this rotation should go absolutely crazy. So let's see what Goku's going to look like here. Yeah, see, there's the attack buff. And then, yeah, 10 mil. I mean, my Goku has 1 dupe. So, yeah. 10 mil with the links active. 60% support from the previous rotation. No support actually on this rotation. So depending on how you're building the team, you can certainly have some pretty funny shenanigans with Pan, especially as, you know, outside of a showcase scenario, you're not going to be using her on the main rotation. But having that support carry over to the next turn is certainly something that could be very interesting. Like, you have a juiced up turn where you've got Goku with his best link partner and another support unit on that rotation after having Pan on the previous one. And then you get, a, you know, a silly scenario like her double supering as well on that turn before. And then some of these units are just going to be hitting incredibly hard. Whilst also the extra defense is great because it's added on for them at the start of the turn, because it comes from the previous turn. So if Pan double supers, everybody on that next rotation is going to be starting off with a really juicy, like 60% extra defense. That's over half of their start of turn defense just added on top again for nothing, just from Pan getting the double super on the previous turn. So definitely very, very good. What's not very good is this turn for orbs. Very unfortunate, in fact. So I guess we can do this, but they obviously get less support from the non-typing orbs. 7 orbs gives her, yeah, 424k, which is, unfortunately, I mean, she might tank the normals here pre-super, or she should do, I think, right, because she's got type advantage as well, yeah. But she would take damage from a super here, and of course, if we're talking like, you know, STR Blue Gogeta, that's when we're in a situation where we could be in trouble. We got another additional finally, but it was only a normal. And now he's going to super. So how much did she take in post-super here? Again, it's not like it's super relevant because Cell's not exactly a super hard boss anymore. But yeah, see, 213k from STR Cell means that if she's floating in slot 3 and you get to this point where it's, what, like turn 11, and that's a super from STR Blue Gogeta from the anniversary event, then she dies, right? So that is something you have to bear in mind, but I do think she's very good. The support traveling over to the other turns is very effective. So, you know, guys, let me know what you think down below in the comment section. And we obviously did show the card at the beginning and everything, but I forgot to highlight it, right? But she definitely is in contention for having one of the worst sticker effects out of all of the 50% supports that got their EZAs, because it's almost unnoticeable. But yeah, there you go. A little bit of the shine around the outside. I say unnoticeable, but nothing visually impressive. Not like our boy Kaba, who probably not only is the best one, but look at that sticker effect. That's what we like to see. So, but there you go. Let me know what you guys think of Pan down below in the comment section. I think she's definitely in the upper tier, right? Like, in terms of the 10, she's in the top half at least. So let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.